Hi guys, Brexit bankroller Arron Banks appeared on GB News where he claimed, and I quote, more than dozens of Tory MPs will jump ship to reform ahead of the general election. His thinking is that many can't win as Conservatives, but they have half a chance of winning under Reform UK. Now this makes no sense whatsoever. His reasoning is down to something he calls the Farage factor. When Nigel jumps on board, MPs from the Conservative Party will defect en masse to reform. But this doesn't get round the election problem. Have a listen to this.
Frankly, the polls are suggesting that Rebel Tory is going to be completely
could dozens come across?
I think more than dozens.
Tory MPs
I actually
to defect.
say that because, you know, they're at a point where they can't win as a Conservative, but they might have half a chance as a Reform candidate.
When you say that you think,
yeah.
Or do you know names that you can't say now, or you can say now?
Well, I know at least 3 or 4 names of
who are in talks now.
Yeah, the people are talking about it, and I would expect this just to accelerate. But this is the Farage factor, that if he comes back and then they pick up another 2 or 3 points in the polls. So Richard Tice has done a good job, but I think when you see 15 points in the polls, that's really the hope factor that Nigel's coming back.
Right.
But actually, if he does come back and gets traction, and you start to see, I think there's some polls out already saying that they're ahead with men in the Midlands.
That's
and
right.
North,
if you break it down,
they're already leading in certain places. And I think the Tory party have given up on. They know they're going to lose, so they're trying to focus on, you know, re-emergence of One Nation, soft Tory, the MP for Reigate. You know, it's that kind of Tory MP.
So to be quite clear, if Nigel Farage came to lead Reform UK,
I think 10 Tory MPs will walk across the thing straight away. And I think as well, that's part of his calculus. You know, MPs are in contact with him daily about this kind of thing. And I think, you know, if he does come back, it will be on the back of something fairly spectacular.
Okay, I don't believe this for a second. Now, think about it for a moment. He says here that, well, you know, at the moment, the Conservatives are not doing very well. Reform UK are doing really well in the polls. And if Nigel Farage were to return, it would boost them up a bit. And you'd see something like 10 MPs cross the aisle immediately. Now, I don't buy that. And I also don't buy the fact that they're leading in constituencies, because he hasn't named any constituencies. He said the Midlands, they're leading in men in the Midlands. But I can't find a single constituency where Reform UK are beating the Tories. And you can't just be beating the Tories, you have to be beating Labour as well if you want to win that seat. So I can't find any constituencies. Now, I've been looking around a lot, but I still haven't found anything. If somebody can find a constituency where Reform UK are beating the Tories and beating Labour, please point it out. But I can't find anything. Because if we go to the only MP they have at the moment, Lee Anderson, it's a bit of an uphill climb for them, because Reform UK, as I said, they can't just beat the Tories, they also have to beat Labour. And I really don't understand how anyone can think that that Tory candidates are going to defect to Reform in order to save their seats. Now, I don't believe for a second that Lee Anderson defected to Reform in order to save his seat. I think there was money involved. Now, this is my speculation. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I still believe that there was probably money involved here. Now, if that's the case, it means that Reform UK's backers will have to hand money over to Tory MPs to defect to Reform. That would be breaking the rules, of course. We don't have any evidence to support that. It's a speculation. But because if they do defect, they're not going to hold on to their seats. They don't have any ground team to campaign for them. They do if they remain a Tory MP. There are still, you know, a significant number of volunteers in the Conservative Party who will go out, knock on doors, canvass, campaign for their local candidate or MP, if as the case may be. For Reform UK, they don't have that. They have GB News, they have Talk TV who promote them, but they don't actually have a ground team. You need people on the ground, volunteers knocking on doors, campaigning for them, canvassing. Reform UK don't have that. So it doesn't make any sense for a Tory MP to defect to Reform in order to hold on to their seat. Because once again, Lee Anderson won his seat with a pretty good majority back in 2019. But as we know, these majorities have completely disappeared. And he's going to be running against the Tory and Labour. So this seat is likely to flip to Labour. But the only way that Lee Anderson could actually hold on to this seat is if he beats the Labour Party, but also the Conservatives. Now, it's possible, although I don't see it likely, it's possible that Reform UK and the Conservatives in this constituency have come to some sort of agreement, some sort of tactical voting. Let's vote tactically to keep out Labour. Now, this could help Lee Anderson, but it's not going to really help the Conservatives, and it would only be this seat. So even if Labour were not to win this seat back, it's not the end of the day for Labour. They're going to win a significant number of seats all over the country. But losing Ashfield or not winning Ashfield back is not a serious problem for Labour. Lee Anderson would hold on to his seat as a Reform UK MP, and that would be it. He's an MP at the moment, he would hold on to the seat. But this would require both two things happening, two unlikely situations. The Tory candidate stepping aside or convincing voters to back Lee Anderson, and it would require Lee Anderson beating the Labour candidate. And I think those situations are extremely unlikely, even if Nigel Farage were to return. Now, Nigel Farage has never won a seat himself, so I think it's very difficult for him to campaign and help others win seats. Yes, he won seats in the European elections, but they were under proportional representation. This is first past the post. So I don't see, once again, it's nonsense thinking that you're going to have 10 MPs defect to Reform UK in order to hold on to their seats. And I don't see Reform UK actually winning any seats. Now, something could happen. Some dramatic situation could take place that we haven't predicted, but it's highly unlikely. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.